I always like when my audience has wine before the talk. It makes me seem much more interesting. So I've been thinking a lot about this problem of digital forensics and authentication for a long time now, and deepfakes is really the latest incarnation. But I don't think it should surprise you that manipulating digital media is not new. We've actually been doing it from the dawn of photography. And in the 90s, was really sort of the birth of digital manipulation. And that, of course, came largely from things like Photoshop, where we were able to do things like this, right? It takes a second to come to you, doesn't it? And this wasn't that hard, with a little bit of skill in Photoshop, in a little bit of time, you can go in and swap the heads out. You can do things like this as well. And honestly, you can just have hours and hours of fun doing these types of manipulations. But these are relatively simple manipulations, and for a long time, while there were serious issues with this, most of it were in the form of memes and hoaxes that would show up in our email. But over the last few years, something interesting has happened, which is that we have moved from the manual creation of manipulated images with things like Photoshop and Adobe After Effects to the automated creation of manipulated images. And I just want to give you a little flavor on how this works. So what we've been doing is using AI, or more specifically machine learning, to automatically synthesize fake content. And while there are many flavors of this, one of the core machineries is something that looks like this. So here's how it works. You have two core systems. I'm going to switch over to this so I can just move a little bit. You have two core systems. You have a generator. Its job is to synthesize content. And what it does is it starts literally by splatting down a bunch of random pixels onto a canvas, and it sends that fake image to a discriminator. And the discriminator says, does this look real? So let's say I want to synthesize an image of a person who doesn't exist. So the discriminator has access to millions of images of real people, and it takes this image and says, can I tell them apart? And if the answer is yes, then you go back to the generator and you say, well, try again. And you keep doing this in a very, very tight loop. This is so-called a generative adversarial network. Generative, because I'm generating something. Adversarial, because I have an adversary trying to determine whether it's fake or not. And network, because the underlying computational machinery is a neural network, or more specifically a deep neural network. So these are called GANs. And what you can see here is that the only thing the user has to do is provide this. Show me a bunch of images of people, of cats, of whatever it is I want. And then the two computer systems take over and automatically synthesize with the human not in the loop. And you can do things like this. So if you go to this website, thispersondoesnotexist.com, true to its name, it will show you images of people who don't exist. So these 6 people here have never existed. They are synthesized by a computer, whole cloth, knowing nothing other than what people look like in portraits. And you can see it crosses gender, it crosses race, it crosses age, it gets things like earrings, it gets glasses, it gets facial hair, and it is really good. And we've already started to see the first fraudulent use of this type of content for creating fraudulent profiles. The most interesting one was a LinkedIn profile about what appears to be a Russian spy trying to make connections within the national security agencies here in DC. And we are now starting to see more and more examples of this, and Danielle will tell you a little bit more about that as well. Now, in addition to being able to create images of people who don't exist, similar types of AI synthesized content can now create whole cloth videos of people saying, as you heard earlier, doing and saying things they don't exist. And I'm going to show you about 3 different but similar types of deep fakes. The first one is called a face swap deep fake. Let me go ahead and show you the video, and then I'm going to explain to you what's happening.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you? I'm
Pleasure
Jake.
to be here.
Nice to meet you.
Nico. Hey, Nick.
Good to meet you.
Clinton.
Yes.
I've heard a lot about you. How's Tether going? Is it good? You got the financing yet?
Well, we've been struggling with that a little bit.
Well, it takes time, but I'm here to help. I'm a helper.
Yeah?
That's what I do. Help me help you.
Okay. I could watch that all day long. That is not Tom Cruise. That is somebody else. I don't think you'd be surprised. But what's been done is on every frame of that video, at 24 frames per second, what the AI synthesized content did was it synthesized an image of Tom Cruise to fit the face of the actual person there, which was an actor impersonating Tom Cruise, of course. Okay? What's great, by the way, is a side note here of creating deep fakes of Hollywood stars is they've had so much plastic surgery, they already look sort of weird, and so it actually works really well. So that is called a face swap. And so the only thing that's been replaced is roughly from the eyebrows down to the chin, and I can literally splat any person's face onto any other person. So if I have somebody who can impersonate you, I can put your likeness on them. So Alec Baldwin, Donald Trump, for example. Yeah, good. So that's a face swap. Let's look at the next one. This is a so-called lip sync
One
deep
man
fake.
with total control of billions of people's stolen data.
Okay, so what he said is true, but he did not say it. Okay, so this is entirely Mark Zuckerberg. He was saying something else. And what was done here is what you're hearing is a Zuckerberg impersonator. And what's been done is only his mouth has been replaced to be consistent with that audio track. So this is very powerful because I can now take any stock video of anybody, and if I can either impersonate your voice or synthesize your voice, all I have to do is change this, how your mouth moves, to be consistent with the audio track, and I can literally put words in your mouth, a CEO's mouth, a president's mouth, a candidate's mouth, anybody's mouth. Okay, that's a so-called lip sync deepfake. All right. Oh, sure. Let me do it one more time.
One man with total control of billions of people's stolen data.
Not bad, huh? If you search for this online, it's a longer video. I'm showing you the whole thing. Okay. Good. The next one is called the Puppet Master deepfake. So what you're seeing here is the puppet master and 3 puppets. And now this one, all you need is a single image of a person. And as this person moves, changes their facial expression, it automatically synthesizes that other person. Now in this case, you're not seeing the hair in the background. This video is about a year old. That has now been incorporated into the full thing. So imagine now I can take a video, an image, single image of a world leader. I can stick myself in front of a camera, and as I move, I animate that world leader, right? Quite powerful technology, okay? So these are the types of technologies that have really hit the scene in the last 2 years, and they are developing at a rate that is astonishing even for us as technologists. So what keeps me up at night? There's no question there are many fun, entertaining, and very creative things you can do with these deep fakes. Hollywood studios are using these to great effect. There's really wonderful artistic things you can do with it, but you can also see how this can be weaponized as well. So where are we seeing it weaponized? And in fact, I don't think it'll surprise you to learn that the first nefarious application was non-consensual pornography. Women's likenesses were being put into pornographic videos, and those were being uploaded online. And just as a side note here, I will tell you that Reddit and Pornhub have banned this content. And the question you want to ask yourself is, how bad do you have to be to get banned from Reddit and Pornhub, not known for their editorial standards, okay? But yet, there's how bad this stuff is. We have seen over the last few years, both here in Europe and India and Brazil and all around the world, misinformation campaigns designed to disrupt democratic elections, to sow civil unrest, and to commit fraud. We are extremely concerned about how these technologies will be weaponized for misinformation and disinformation campaigns. I spent a lot of time over the last 20 years in a courtroom thinking about evidence introduced in a court of law. There's hardly a crime committed today that does not have a digital component, a photograph, a CCTV, a body cam, a surveillance camera. How do you authenticate that type of content when there are literally lives on the line? We worry a lot about that. I don't think it'll surprise you to learn that national security agencies are very concerned about this. They make daily decisions based on multimedia content that they are receiving from around the world, audio recordings, video recordings, images. We have serious decisions with global consequences that have to be made on a daily basis. We are very worried in the child safety space. If people can impersonate children, they can impersonate your parents, they can impersonate anybody, that predators can lure children into very dangerous situations. And we've already started to see examples of this type of technology being used for fraud. Imagine I create, which I could do, a video of Jeff Bezos saying, my profits are down 10%. That goes viral for what? Yeah, I know, don't laugh. Goes viral for 10 seconds. I can have global stock manipulation to the tune of billions of dollars. And it only has to stay online for about 10 seconds for the stock market to respond before it rebounds. So imagine the types of chaos you can create on the global market this way. Okay? All right. Now, I'm not going to stop here because I'm already depressed thinking about all of these things. So what do we do about this mess, right? Okay, and we'll talk some more about this in the Q&A, but let me tell you a little bit about what we are trying to do forensically to analyze video. So I'm going to show you a series of short clips of President Obama. Just watch it and see if you notice anything.
Hi everybody. 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 Hi everybody.
Don't you just miss him? Even just hearing him say hi everybody makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. So you probably noticed that every time he said hi everybody, by the way, those are all unique clips. These are from his weekly addresses when he was president. He does this, up and to the left, hi everybody, hi everybody. And you may not have noticed that when he comes down, he purses his lips ever so slightly. Really characteristic and really repeatedly. We call this a soft biometric. And when Senator Warren speaks, or President Trump speaks, or Bernie Sanders speaks, they don't do that. They have a different characteristic. Senator Warren, when she speaks, you probably noticed this, does this, right? She's just, her head moves a lot. She's incredibly animated. Her eyebrows are really animated. We have very distinct speaking styles. How we speak, what we say, how we say it. And we're in the business of learning those characteristics, particularly as it pertains to world leaders, and then trying to use that to authenticate video. So let me just give you one example. So what I'm showing you here on the top is a real video. I'll just show you a single frame of it. And this is a lip-sync deepfake of President Obama. And what I'm showing you here on the horizontal axis of this graph is time, number of frames, if you will. And on the vertical axis are two things associated with the president's video. One in blue is how he rotates his head up and down, rotation around the x-axis. And the orange is whether he lowers his lips and, the sides of his mouth as if he's frowning. And what you notice from that graph is that they're correlated. So and you notice this when you watch President Obama, when he delivers bad news, he tends to tilt his head downward a little bit, right? He's got this very distinct things. He's like the solemn thing that he does. And so they're correlated. So when one is down, the other one is down. When one is up, the other one is up. This is a lip-sync deepfake. So what have we done here? We've decoupled his mouth from his head. So his head is saying one thing, but his mouth is saying something else. And now I've destroyed the relationship, right? They don't satisfy the characteristic relationship that we typically see of him. Now, again, every world leader is a little bit different, and so we have different properties for different people. So here's what we do. We take a video of, say, President Obama, and we track him. So that blue box you're seeing is telling me how is his head rotating in three dimensions. The green lasers coming out of his eyes tell me where he's looking. And all of the blue and red circles there are just landmarks on his face that tell me how his mouth is moving, how his eyebrows are moving, how his jaw is moving, and how all the features on his face are moving. Good? So we track all of those, and then we extract what we call action units. These tell me whether he is furrowing his brow, raising his eyebrows, smiling, frowning. 18 of those plus 2 head movements gives me 20 total measurements. And then from that, I look at all possible combinations of those. That's a total of 190 combinations. And now, for a 10-second clip of President Obama, I have 190 numbers that characterize his, if you will, soft biometric. Now, we can't visualize 190 dimension. We can't really visualize much beyond 3 or 4 dimensions. But what I can do is take those 190 dimensions and slam them down into a 2-dimensional space. And what I'm going to show you here is every little dot you see here is a 10-second clip of a current or former candidate for the presidency. So Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Harris, Warren, Booker, Buttigieg, Biden, Trump, Sanders, O'Rourke, and Obama. I think all of these are still in the race, last time I checked. You notice something very interesting here. They are all separated, right? So Cory Booker is over here, Donald Trump is over here, Barack Obama is over here, and they are tightly coupled, and they are separate from each other. That's good news for me. That means that the characteristics that we extracted for each of them is distinct and consistent, right? That's very good. So what we've been doing is building these soft biometric models for all of the candidates for the President of the United States here in the US for 2020. And what we are doing is making that software available to journalists so that when videos are released over the next year, they can vet them through our system and determine whether they are authentic or not. We are not releasing these to the public because we are concerned about arming our adversary. We are concerned that this simply will then be used to create better fakes, and we want to control that a little bit. And we should talk about that in the Q&A because there's a real tension there. I think what I'm going to do is stop there and turn it over back to the next speaker. Thanks so much, everybody, for your time.